The sky above the Darvani capital was dark red. Smoke rose from tall towers. Fire burned in the distance. The city was alive but cold. Harsh winds blew across the steel platforms. Ships flew overhead. Their engines roared like angry beasts. Below, the palace stood the arena, a giant circle made of black stone. The ground was stained with old blood. Crowds of aliens filled the stands. Thousands of voices screamed. Flags waved. The smell of sweat and fire filled the air. In the center of the arena stood a man, a human. His face was marked with dirt and blood. His chest moved with every breath. His name was Rin Carter, captain of the Earth Colonial Forces, the last of his squad, the only one left alive. He looked around. Aliens stared at him with hungry eyes. Some laughed, some shouted. Most wanted to see him die. To them, he was prey, a weak outsider, a fool who dared to stand against the Darvani. At the far end of the arena, a gate opened. Heavy chains pulled back the steel doors. A creature stepped out, 8 feet tall, muscles like stone, skin like armor. Yellow eyes burned with hate. His name was Varkor, champion of the blood trials, mate of the great commander Shira. The crowd roared louder. They wanted blood. They wanted a show. This was not just a fight. It was a law, a tradition older than memory. The winner takes honor. The loser takes death. If a male dies in battle, his mate becomes the prize. The new property of the victor. Above the arena, in the royal box, sat Commander Shira. Tall, strong, silent. Her black armor shined. Her silver eyes never blinked. She watched her mate enter the arena. She did not smile. She did not speak. She knew the rule. If Varkor lost, she would belong to the human. Rin met Varkor's eyes. There was no fear in him. He had seen worse. He had survived worse. Earth had fallen years ago. His people were scattered. His ship was shot down near this planet. Now he stood alone. But he would not beg. He would not kneel. A loud horn blew. The gate closed behind Varkor. The fight had begun. Varkor charged. The ground shook under his feet. He swung a giant blade. Rin rolled to the side. Dust flew up. The blade hit the ground with a loud crack. Rin moved fast. His body was smaller, but quicker. He stabbed forward with his short spear. The tip scratched Varkor's side. Not deep enough. The alien growled. He turned fast. His fist slammed into Rin's side. Rin flew back. He hit the stone hard. Pain shot through his chest. He gasped for air, but he stood up. He wiped the blood from his mouth. His legs were shaking, but his eyes were sharp. Varkor laughed. He thought the human was finished. He raised his blade and ran forward again. Rin waited. At the last second, he dropped low. He slid between the alien's legs. As he passed, he slashed the back of Varkor's knee. The alien roared in pain. His leg bent. He fell to one knee. Rin jumped on his back. He wrapped his arm around Varkor's neck. He pulled tight. The alien stood, trying to shake him off. But Rin held on. The crowd was on their feet. No one had ever seen this before. A human holding the Darvani champion like prey. Varkor slammed his back into the wall. Again and again, Rin's vision blurred. Bones cracked. Blood filled his mouth. But he did not let go. He reached into his belt and pulled out a small blade. He stabbed the side of Varkor's neck. Again. Varkor stumbled. His arms dropped. His legs gave out. He fell forward. The ground shook. Rin rolled away. He stood, covered in blood, his hands shaking, his body broken. But he was still alive. Varkor did not move. Silence fell across the arena. The human had won. Rin looked up at the royal box. His eyes met Shira's. She did not look away. Her face showed no fear, no anger, no sorrow, only calm. The high priest stepped forward. He raised his hand. By law, the woman now belongs to the victor. The crowd cheered. Some screamed in rage. Some watched in shock. The tradition had never been broken. And now a human had claimed a warrior's mate. Shira stood. Her guards moved back. She walked down the long stairs. Each step echoed. Her black boots hit the stone floor. She entered the arena and stood before Rin. He looked at her. She looked at him. You are mine now, she said. Rin shook his head. No, he replied, you are not mine, and I am not your Sayuar. Free, but if you help me, I will not forget it. Shira stared at him for a long moment, then she gave a small nod. Rin turned to the crowd. This is not the end, he shouted. This is the beginning. You think humans are weak, but we are no tie. You think we die easily, but we rise again. You think we are alone, but we are not. Raised his bloody blade in the air. Today the first fight alone, but tomorrow I will not. Crowd watched in silence. Laughed some, whispered, and far above in the shadows someone was watching. That everyone liked what they had just seen, and danger was coming. The arena was quiet now. The blood had dried. The crowd had left. The lights above the fighting ground were dim. Only the cold wind remained. Rin Carter stood alone near the gate. His body ached. Cuts and bruises covered his skin. His breathing was slow and heavy, yet he was still standing, alive, victorious. Shira stood beside him, tall, proud. Her black armor carried the dust of war. She was a prisoner now, not by chains, by law. The guards watched her with fear. She had once commanded them. Now she walked as property. Not a word left her lips. Her silver eyes held fire. Two armored officers stepped forward. One held out a collar, a symbol of ownership. Every concubine was forced to wear it, even one like her. Rin raised his hand. No, he said, he will not take her as property. Officers looked confused. One of them laughed. He thought it was a Jakash. Belongs to you now. By combat law, she must serve. Rin looked at the collar. Then he looked at Shira. She met his eyes, waiting, testing him. He took the collar and threw it into the dust. Serves. No one. The crowd that remained gasped. The guards looked at each other. No one knew what to do. Shira tilted her head slightly. Strange, she said, very stranger, and turned to Harry. Need your help. I need to understand your people, your systems, your world. Shh. Smiled, but not with kindness. And if I refuse it, then you are free to go, he replied. But I think you want answers to. They walked together through the palace halls, side by side, not as master and slave, as something else, something new. Whispers followed them. Soldiers stepped aside. Servants bowed low. Some stared with hate, some with fear. All watched. Inside the palace, they reached a large room. It was cold. The walls were black stone. No furniture, no decoration, just a table and two chairs. Shira sat first, her back straight, her face calm. She did not show pain. She did not show weakness. Rin sat across from her. He leaned forward. His eyes focused. Tell me about your empire. Shira narrowed her eyes. You killed my mate, and now you want lessons. He spared your life. He answered, you are here because I let you walk free. Do not want slaves. I want understanding. She looked at him for a long time. Then she began to speak. The Darvani Empire is built on conquest. We take, we control, we crush. You believe in strength. We believe the weak must kneel. Every planet we touch becomes part of the chain. Rin listened carefully. His fingers tapped the tablet. And Humansho have fought us, but for Shira nodded. Long ago, we met your kind near the edge of the dark systems. You fought hard, too hard, so the council erased you, covered the truth, claimed you were nothing. No, you are back. That scares them. Rin leaned back in his chair. Let them be. Scaretti. I am not here to beg. I am here to change things. Shira laughed once, sharp, cold. You want to change an empire built on blood? Then you will drown. Initrin stood up. Then help me swim. That night, he was given a chamber deep in the palace. It had no windows, no door locks, one small bed, one table, no weapons. They trusted him just enough to not kill him, not enough to let him walk free. Shira came to the chamber without guards. She stood in the doorway. You speak like a fool, she said, but you fight like a beast. You could become something. Moreso, could you? Rin replied. She stepped inside. I will show you the council chambers tomorrow, but know this. If you betray me, I will end Yorin. Smiled fair and offer. The first time since he crashed on this planet, he felt something new. Not safety, not comfort. Possibility. In the dark halls of the palace, another figure moved. A shadow with silent feet. He wore dark robes. His eyes glowed faint green. Had watched the fight. He had seen the collar fall to the dirt. He had seen Shira follow the human. Without protest, this cannot continue, he whispered to himself. The old ways must stay. He turned down a hidden path, deeper into the palace, toward the chambers of the High Seer. Inside the seer's room, the air was thick with smoke. Symbols burned in gold across the walls. The seer sat in a circle of mirrors. His voice was like dry leva speakth, robed figure bowed loath human must deeth seer close his. Ice then make it suitside the palace. In the cold night, ships moved across the sky. Patrols circled the city. Lights blinked in the fog but none saw the assassin slip past the outer wall. His eyes burned with hate. His blade was radiant. Rin Carter had no idea what waited in the shadows. The sun never truly rose over the Darvani capital. Only a dull red glow touched the clouds each morning. It gave no warmth, only light enough to see the sharp towers and black roads. Rin Carter woke early. The bed was hard. The air was cold. His body still hurt from the fight. His ribs ached. His back burned. But he was alive. That was enough. He washed his face and stepped out of his chamber. Two guards stood nearby. They did not speak. They only watched. Their weapons were ready, not for his protection, for control. Shira was already waiting. She wore a long gray cloak. Her face showed no emotion, but her eyes studied him. You walk slow, she said. Rin gave a short note. He fought a monster yesterday. I deserve to walk slow. She turned and started down the hall. He followed. They moved through the palace like shadows, past tall statues, past empty halls. No one spoke. Even the walls seemed to listen. Shira led him to a door made of black stone. She placed her hand on a panel. The door opened with a low sound. Inside was a narrow stair. Cold air rushed up from below. The walls were made of metal. Old metal, not from this world. Where are we going? Rin skied somewhere no one else is allowed, she replied. You asked about the truth. Now I will show you. What the council hides. They moved down the stairs. The air grew colder. Lights flickered. Dust fell from the ceiling. The stair ended in a wide room, dark, silent. In the center of the room was a table. On it lay metal boxes, old screens, broken weapons. Rin stepped forward. His hand touched a cracked visor. Human design. These are from Earth, he said. Shira answered. Your people came here long ago, before my birth. They tried to speak, to trade, maybe even to live here, but something went wrong. Very wrong. Rin looked at the walls. He saw carvings, symbols mixed with words, some in English, some in alien script. There was fear here, he said. He feel it. Shira walked to a console. She pressed a button. A screen came to life. A recording played. The image was broken, but the voice was clear. This is Commander Heart of the Earth Ship Seeker. We are under attack. They said they wanted peace. They lied. I repeat, they lied. The screen went black. Rin stepped back. His hands clenched into fists. His heart beat faster. You knew about this, he said. Not until I was older, Shira replied. Even now only if you know. The council buried the truth. They said your kind were savages, liars, threats to the balance, but these voices say something else. Rin walked around the room. He touched each object, each memory of those who came before him. They were murdered, he said, and now I know why they fear. Matt turned to her. Are you showing me this because I want to know the truth, she said. Because I saw you fight with honor. I saw you refuse power when it was given. And because I am tired of being blind. Above them the walls shook slightly. Dust fell again. Shira looked up. Goran followed her back up the stairs. He felt different now, stronger, not in body, in purpose. As they reached the main hall, a sound echoed nearby. A hiss, then silence. Shira stopped. Her hand moved to her belt. No weapon. She moved in front of Rin. Stay close, she whispered. A figure stepped from the shadows. Black armor, masked face, blade in hand. The assassin did not speak. He moved fast. A blur. Rin ducked. The blade missed his throat by inches. He rolled to the side. Shira charged forward. She struck the assassin's arm. The blade dropped. But another weapon came out. A short hook. They fought without words. Metal clashed. Feet moved fast. Shira blocked. The assassin cut. Rin searched the ground. He found a broken pole, not a weapon. Better than nothing. He struck the assassin from behind. The pole snapped. The killer turned. His hand grabbed Rin's neck. Tight. Shira screamed. She threw a sharp stone. It hit the mask. The assassin dropped Rin. Blood came from Rin's mouth. Shira tackled the killer. They rolled across the floor. She slammed his head into the wall. Once, twice, then silence. Rin coughed. His vision cleared. He saw Shira pull off the mask. She froze. "Do you know him, Rinnaskidi?" she said. "Was my second in command. Would he try to kill us?" Looked at Rin. "Because you are breaking the rules. Because I am helping you." The guards arrived. Late. Too late. Shira ordered them to take the body. She did not explain. She did not trust them. Later that night, Rin sat alone in the same cold room, a blanket over his shoulders. His mind raced. Shira entered without knocking. She sat across from him. "You should leave the palace," she said. "You are not safe." Heron looked at Heron. "Go where?" She leaned closer. "There are places outside the capital. Places the council has forgotten. Old cities, abandoned bases, buried systems. If you want answers, we must go there." Irin nodded. "Edwin, do we leviate first light?" She replied, "We may not return. Then we make it count." Shira stood. For the first time her voice softened. "You should rest. Tomorrow we run from the heart of the empire." And watched her walk away. He closed his eyes. She did not dreamily. Fire waited behind his thoughts. Darkness covered the palace. The wind howled through the towers. Guards stood at their posts. Some were alert. Most were not. Inside the chambers, Rin Carter packed what little he had. A torn map, a small water flask, a blade hidden in cloth. Nothing more. He moved without sound. His ribs still hurt, but pain had become normal. He pushed it aside. Shira entered his room. Her steps were silent. She wore black armor. A long hood covered her face. Her eyes were sharp. "We go now," she said. Rin gave a short nod. They slipped through the servant halls, past kitchens, past storage rooms. The path was not straight. They took turns, backtracked, avoided patrols. Shira knew every tunnel, every blind corner, every shadow. They reached the outer gate. A single guard stood there. His eyes were closed, his head tilted. Shira drew her blade. She moved fast. The guard never saw her. They passed the gate. The city stretched before them. Tall buildings made of black stone. Lights in the windows, smoke in the sky. This way, Shira said. They walked through narrow streets, past silent homes, past broken machines. This part of the city had been forgotten, left to rot. A small transport waited near a fallen statue, old design, covered in dust, but it worked. Shira opened the hatchgate. Inran stepped inside. The ship hummed, lights blinked, the engine sparked. They lifted off without warning. No flight request, no permission, no escort. The sky turned black around them. The city shrank behind. Soon it was only a shadow. "Where are we going?" Rinasketo. "The Outer Rim," she replied. "There is an old city, lost in the desert. The council buried it long ago." "What is their truth?" she answered. "The journey was long. Hours passed in silence." Rin closed his eyes for a while. When he opened them, the ship was landing. Dust rose around them, red earth, sharp rocks, no trees, no sky towers, only ruins. They stepped out. Heat burned their skin. The wind was dry. It carried no sound. Before them stood a wall, broken, tall, marked with strange symbols. Shira moved first. Her hand touched the stone. This was the first colony, she said, before the empire, before the laws. "My people lived here." They entered the ruins. Stone paths led to buried doors, half-covered chambers, fallen roofs. They reached a large hall. The doors were blocked. Shira placed her hand on a sensor. It lit up. The doors opened with a loud sound. Dust flew in every direction. Inside was darkness. Rin stepped forward. Lights came on slowly. A control room, screens on every wall, chairs, machines, dead for years. He moved to the center. A table stood there. On it lay a metal disc. Human design. Shira picked it up. "You know this is," Rin said. "It is a data key. Very old. Very rare." He placed it on a slot. A screen lit up. A video played. "This is Captain Doyle, Earth Recon Division. You're unknown. We found them first. They were small, afraid. We helped them grow and they turned on us." Shira watched without blinking. Screen changed. Images of battles. Human soldiers, Darvani warriors, explosions, fire. Then silence. Shira looked at Rin. "They erased this from our history," he said. "Because they were ashamed." Footsteps echoed behind them. Shira turned, her blade drawn. 3 figures stepped out from the shadows, robes, weapons, eyes full of hate. "You should not be here," one of them said. Shira moved fast. Her blade struck the first man. He fell without a sound. Rin grabbed a broken pipe. The second man rushed at him. Rin blocked the strike. He hit back hard. The man fell. The third man ran. Shira threw her blade. It hit the back of his leg. He dropped to the ground screaming. Rin walked over and pulled him up. "Wo sent you, man spat blood you. Our poison he said you both must dear," and threw him down. Turned to Shira. "Thee followed us," nodded. "We must leave now." They left the chamber. The data key was safe in Rin's hand. Behind them the dead were silent. As they reached the surface, a signal came through the ship, encrypted. Hidden, but strong. Rin opened it. The voice was soft, female, human. "If anyone hears this, I am alive. I am trapped. This is Lieutenant Kale from the Seeker. Please respond." Rin's heart stopped for a moment. Shira looked at him. "Wo Ishesh was on the same ship. I was. He Sage was taken after the crash. We thought she did." The signal repeated. Rin spoke into the mickle. "This is Carter. I am alive. Where are you?" No reply. Kamishira checked the coordinates. Signal came from the northern mines. "That zone is closed, guarded, forbidden. Then we go there." Rin said. Shira paused. It could be a trapper. She could be Alavethi. Entered the ship. The engines roared. The desert faded below. Behind them a drone rose into the sky. Black wings. Silent flight. A red light blinked under its eye. Far away in the palace, a monitor lit up. The seer stared at the screen. "They are moving toward the mines," he said. The others in the room did not speak. "Prepare the hunter," he ordered. The drone flew higher, faster, tracking its prey, and deep in the mines someone screamed. The sky grew darker as the ship crossed the empty lands. Below them stretched miles of dead rock. No trees, no life, only ash-colored mountains and deep scars in the ground. Rin sat in silence. His hand held the old data key tightly. He kept replaying. The voice in his head, Kel's voice, alive, afraid, reaching through the dark. Shira flew the ship with steady hands. Her eyes stayed on the path ahead. She did not speak, but her mind raced with questions. The more she followed Rin, the more her world broke apart. The mines appeared on the horizon. Deep pits in the earth, metal structures, guard towers, lights. On tall poles, a dark cloud hung over it all. The council said this place was closed for repairs. No one was allowed near it. But now a human voice called from inside. They landed far from the main gate. No alarms, no patrols, but to quiet. Shira pulled a long cloak over her armor. Rin checked his blade. They moved on foot. No light, no sound. They reached the edge of the outer wall. A hole had been cut through the fence. Old, rusted. Someone else had come before. They entered the mine. Inside was darkness, heavy air, the sound of dripping water. The tunnels were wide. Machines lay broken on the ground. The lights above flickered. Weakly, Shira held a scanner in her hand. "Signal is close," she said. They moved deeper. The walls changed, from metal to stone, from smooth to rough. Symbols appeared, warnings, in a forgotten language. Then they heard it. A voice, weak, dry. "Help." Marin ran ahead. He turned a corner and froze. There she was. Kale. Tied to a wall. Her body thin. Her skin pale, but alive. Her eyes met his. Hope returned to her face. Rin rushed forward. He cut the bonds. She fell into his arms. "You came," she whispered. He never stopped looking, he said. Shira stood near the door, watching, listening. Kale tried to speak, but her voice broke. "Not safe." She said. "They are coming." Rin picked her up. She was too weak to walk. Gavi turned back. The tunnel behind them was still clear. But Shira stopped. Wait, pressed her ear to the wall. A low hum. Then footsteps. "We are not Alana." 3 figures stepped from the dark. Long cloaks, silver masks, blades in hand. Rin stepped back. Kale still in his arms. He could not fight and carry her. Shira moved forward, her blade ready. "You will not stop us," she said. One of the masked men spoke. "You broke the seal. You opened the door that should stay closed. The empire was built on secrets. You will not live to speak them." They attacked. Shira blocked the first strike. Her blade flashed. She moved like a shadow, fast, precise. Rin placed Kale behind a wall. He grabbed a pipe. From the ground, rusted, sharp, the second attacker came at him. Rin ducked, swung hard. The pipe hit bone. The man fell. Shira cut the third one across the chest. Blood sprayed, the figure dropped. Breathing hard, she turned to Rinwu. Must move now. They ran back through the tunnels. Every sound felt louder, every shadow felt alive. They reached the exit. The air outside was fresh but cold. The ship was still there. Rin helped Kale inside. Shira closed the hatch. The engines roared to life. As they lifted off, Rin saw movement behind them. More figures, dozens, silent, watching. They did not chase, they only stared. Inside the ship, Kale rested, her head on a pillow, her eyes half closed. Rin sat beside her. What happened? He asked. Kale took a slow breath. After the crash, they took us. Said we were guests, but it was a Lethe. Tested us, watched us. Some died. Others were sent to the ministry. Wanted to see how much pain we could take. Her voice broke again. They said it was research, for control, for the future of the Empire. Shira stood in silence. She had heard rumors, whispers, but nothing like Fishao. Many. She asked. Kale looked at her. 100 Shirara turned away. Her hands clenched. Her people had done this, her leaders, her council. Rin looked at her. No, do you see? She gave a short naughty sand. I will help you burn them down. The ship turned toward the capital. No more hiding, no more running. In the palace, the High Seer watched the tracker. They found the girl. He saved others in the room. Did not speak. Then a voice came from behind. Let them commit. Was a new figure, tall, robed. The true master behind the curtain. Let them bring the truth. We will bury it with their bones. Back on the ship, Rin leaned against the wall. His body ached. His mind raced. Kale was safe for now, but the fight was just beginning. Shira sat beside him. This empire is sick, she said, and now it is afraid. Rin looked at her. Good, let fear do the work. They flew into the night straight toward the storm. The city lights burned in the distance. Towers stood tall like blades. Ships moved across the sky. Patrols circled the capital, searching for threats. Inside the ship, Rin Carter stood by the window. His hands rested on the glass. His reflection looked tired, worn, but his eyes were steady. Beside him, Shira checked the controls. Her movements were sharp. She no longer wore her military badge. She had torn it off before takeoff. Kale rested in the back chamber, still weak, but healing. She had not spoken much since they left the mines, but her words still echoed in Rin's mind. Hundreds taken, tortured, buried in silence. Shira spoke without turning. Cannot fly into the palace. They will shoot us down. Then we land in the old quarter. Rin said, me armor is there. She replied, old friends. Turin nodded. Friends we can trust. Gave a slow nod. Samith ship dropped below the radar. It moved through tight air paths, avoided sensors, past broken buildings and smoke-filled alleys. They landed near a scrapyard. Rusted metal surrounded them, old machines half buried in sand. No guards, no lights. Rin helped Kale down the ramp. She leaned on him, her steps slow but steady. A tall man waited at the edge of the yard, his face hidden by a scarf, his arms crossed. Shira stepped forward. His with meth man lowered his scarf. Captain Derek, former elite, now in hiding, looked at Rinyu. Are they human? They talk about. Rin said nothing. Derek looked at Shira again. You bring danger here. I bring truth, she replied. He stared at hearth and show it. They entered a hidden chamber below the yard. Long tables, maps on the walls, weapons on shelves, old text spread across the floor. Derek looked at the data key. He watched the recordings, the old Earth messages, the voices of the dead. He said nothing for a while. Then he nodded once. I will call the others in. By one they came, some in armor, some in plain clothes, soldiers, traders, engineers, silent, tired, angry. Rin stood before them. You have lived under this empire your whole life. You know its laws. You know its power. But now you also know its least. They erased my people. They lied to you. They killed their own for silence. The council says I am the enemy. But I never started this way. I am not here to take your world. I am here to help save. I've stepped back. Let them choose. Shira said. A voice spoke from the crowd. What do you want from us? Rin looked around. Courage. An author voice spoke. Do you plan to fight them? Rin nodded. He asked it with fear, not with revenge, with proof, with unity, with fire. Derek stepped forward. Then we fight with Yuthi. Spent the night planning targets, entry points, communication lines. Shira marked the palace walls on a map. We hit the west wing first. That is where they keep the internal records, the files they never show if we leak them to the public. We turned the people against the council and agreed we'll let the match be morning. The city felt different. Crowds gathered near the central square. Screens flashed warnings. The council made a speech. Do not trust the human. Do not follow traitors. Obey and serve. Vashira turned off the screen. Too late for threats. The rebels moved in silence. Small teams, fast steps. Rin led one group. Derek led another. Shira moved between them. They reached the palace edge. The west wing stood tall before them. Heavy doors, red banners, guards in silver armor. No words were spoken. The attack began. Smoke bombs rolled across the ground. Gas filled the air. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Urin rushed in. His blade struck first. A guard fell, then another. Shira moved like fire. Her blade flashed. Her steps were clean, no hesitation. Derek planted charges near the power lines. Sparks flew. Lights went out. Screens died. Inside the data chamber, Kale worked fast. Her hands moved across the console. The files opened. Thousands of hidden records. She uploaded them to every open network. Across the city, screens changed. People stopped in the streets. They watched in silence. Images of human prisoners. Broken bodies. Crying voices. Files signed by council leaders. The truth was no longer buried. The streets exploded in sound. Shouts, cries, rage. The council responded fast. Elite soldiers moved through the streets. Flyers dropped leaflets. Traitors will be punished. But fear had lost its grip. The people had seen too much. In the palace tower, the High Seer watched in silence. His hands folded, his face calm. One of his advisors stepped forward. They have taken. The West Wing Seer replied. Let them. The advisor blinked. What do you mean? Seer turned slowly. Let them feel victory. Then crush it below the city. Deep under the palace, a machine awoke. Lights blinked. Power flowed. A program started. Back in the rebel base, Rin leaned against a wall. Blood on his arm. A smile on his face. We did it. Shira stood beside him. Not Yethis. Was only the first strike. Nodded. Then let's strike again. In the shadows outside the city, a dark ship landed. No symbols, no lights. The door opened. A tall figure stepped out. Covered in armor, eyes like flame. The council had called the hunter. The city burned under a red sky. Smoke rose from the palace walls. Sirens echoed in every street. Lights flickered. Fires spread. The empire was shaking. Rin Carter stood at the front of the rebel lines. His armor was cracked. His arm was cut. But his eyes were steady. Behind him stood Shira, Derek, Kale, and hundreds of others. Humans and Darvani, once enemies, now brothers and sisters in arms. They had taken the West Wing. They had released the truth. The people had seen the crimes, the lies, the broken laws, but the fight was not over. Above them, a dark ship hovered, its engines silent, its shape smooth like glass. The hunter had arrived. He stepped from the ship like a shadow, tall, covered in black armor, his face hidden, his hands empty. But his presence made the air heavy. The people stepped back. Even the rebels held their breath. Shira stared at the figure. No himwo is Hirina Sked was once a commander like me. She said until the council turned him into something else. And nodded. Then he bleeds like anyone else. The hunter raised one hand. No weapon, no warning. A wave of energy hit the ground. Soldiers flew back. Metal twisted. Walls cracked. Rin rolled to the side. He landed hard. Pain shot through his shoulder. Shira charged. Her blade met the hunter's arm. Sparks flew. The blade broke. The hunter grabbed her by the throat, lifted her into the air. Rin jumped forward. He slammed his shoulder into the hunter's side. They both fell. Shira gasped for air. She crawled back. Derek pulled her behind a wall. The hunter stood again, his armor barely scratched. Kale screamed. Medth power core, aim for the chest. That's where they placed it. Rin grabbed a fallen weapon. Not his. Too large. But it would have to do. He ran forward. The hunter swung. Rin ducked. He stabbed the blade deep into the chest plate. A burst of light exploded. The hunter screamed. A sound like thunder and steel. He dropped to his knees. Sparks shot from his body. Rin stood over him. You are not a god, he said. You are just another Li. Pulled the blade free. The hunter fell, silent, still. The rebels shouted. The lines surged forward. The palace gates broke open. Inside, council guards tried to hold the halls, but many had already thrown down their weapons. The truth had spread. The people were rising. Shira reached the council chamber first. Her steps echoed. The great doors opened. Inside, the high seer waited, calm, still. "You lost," she said. The seer smiled. "You think this ends with a fire?" "Thighs ends with change," she said. Looked at Rin. "You should not have come here." Human Rin stepped forward bit. "I demand your lies." Argonath seer stood. "You can kill me. Another will take my place, and we break the chain." Rin replied. Shira raised her blood. "No more." Slaveno more silence struck on. The seer felt. Chamber grew quiet outside the city. People watched the palace walls. The banners came down. The old symbol of the empire burned in the wind. A new flag was raised, black and silver, a symbol of unity, of peace. Weeks passed. City changed. Prisons were opened. Records were cleaned. Trials began. The people voted. No more mates by combat. No more forced service. No more hidden wars. Shira stood before a crowd. He was raised to serve power, to obey orders, to see humans as lesser. But I was wrong. All Wersh looked at Rin. This man fought for justice, not for glory. Freed me not with chains, but with choice. And now I choose to fight with him. Rin stepped beside her. The past is full of pain. We will not forget it, but we will not be ruled by it. Build forward. The crowd cheered. Later that night, Rin walked alone near the edge of the city. The sky was clear. The stars above were bright. Kale joined him. "You think Earth will hear us?" Smiled. "If not now." Sunch looked at the stars. "They'll want to know what happened here. Then we tell them everything." Shira walked up the path. "Council is gone," she said, "but the scars are deep." Rin looked at Hearth. "And we help them heal." Nodded. "And we watch for new threats." They stood together in silence. Far above, in deep space, a signal blinked. A message traveled through light, from one star to another. A warning, a story, a beginning. Rin Carter, the man who defeated an empire without taking a crown. The man who chose mercy over control. The human who made an empire fall. Not a conqueror, a liberator.